So, what I'm going to work on, this is a classical guitar from the 1960s. It's a Guild student model. What's cool, it's a solid body. So it's definitely worth working on, but unfortunately, this neck has caved in. And what this video really is all about is that normally, traditionally, right, we would do a neck reset on this, meaning that we would take the neck off and shave off some and then reset it back in. But my issue is there is some built up, for some reason, let me show you. I've got some built up material here. And I think when I start peeling this thing off, right, it's just going to pop up and I'm going to do some damage. And this is something that I've had since like the 70s, so it really means a lot to me. And I've experimented with two other guitars to see that if what my plan is possible. And this is what the plan is. And I think it makes sense when you think about it. With this guitar and with the other guitars that I had, the necks were fine. They would call it a neck reset, but actually the issue is that the body of the guitar over a long period of time starts to cave in. You can see right in here, right? You can see it right in here. How this neck starts to pull up, this starts to cave in on the body. The neck itself is pretty straight. That's not what's caving in. It's the body of the guitar. So what I plan to do is I'm going to open up the back of this guitar, get inside, there's a brace here. I'm going to take that brace, I'm going to shave enough off it and have a curvature so it takes this body and pops up to its original height. I am going to use the calculations on how we do a neck reset. I'm just going to adjust them a little bit. So the first thing, and here let me show you, I saw this online, but I only saw it once, so I want to show it to you guys too. Turn this light off here. The calculations for neck reset are pretty easy. You get the heel length, which is right here, the amount of the saddle that you want, and by the way, it's right by the amount of saddle to be removed. It's not removing the saddle, it's how we're lining up this plane here to the saddle. It should line up like that it just sits right up on top. But of course this one doesn't. It goes quite a bit down. So this distance here, this distance between where it should be and where it is now, that's that second calculation. That's that B. And of course C is the distance from the body joint, from here to here. And it's basically just A times B divided by C, meaning the heel length times the amount of saddle that's got to be lifted up here, and the distance between the joint divided by that. So it's a fairly simple calculation. The only thing though, what I'm changing is that C is not going to be from the joint here. C is going to be from this point here, because this is really where I'm going to be tilting, where I'm going to be popping up. So let's take a look at our calculations to get us started. First of all, I'm going to use centimeters or millimeters. This is my joint here is 9 up to the top here is 9 centimeters, right? 9 centimeters. From here, let me get my little marker here. I've got the straight edge, right? Goes right in. You can see it's quite a bit down. That's how much it's caved in. And I'm going to mark it right on the bottom. And then let's see what it's got. Let's see what we got for this. Of course is going to be in millimeters. So I've got what? Oh, wrong section here. Let's see. That's inches. Let's go for millimeters. Can I do it like this? Yeah, I can do it like this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 millimeters or 0.5 centimeters, right? So let's see. So let's put this down now so we can see this. The heel length I said was 9 centimeters, right? The amount of the saddle is 0.5 centimeters. And the distance between my brace and the saddle, not the joint, right? Because this is where you do a neat neck reset. But I'm going to reset it here. And that's going to be approximately, that's about 23 centimeters. So it's 23 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 9 times 0.5, right, divided by 23 centimeters, and that's going to give me the millimeters and how much I'm going to take off on this brace. Alright, so we've done our calculation, and what I came up with is 0.195 centimeters, or of course if we're using millimeters it's going to be, I rounded up just a little bit to 2 millimeters, right? And that should be enough to be able to take this body of the guitar, taking this brace out, pulling this up, having my brace curved, where the end of the curve ends up being here and here, 2 centimeters, right? 2 millimeters from the center of this. And basically I'm going to take this neck and it's going to go up 2 millimeters. And that should be able to get to the bottom of my saddle. And that should take care of my problem with this guitar. What I'm doing is I'm going through the back of the guitar. I believe that it's actually easier than trying to do a neck reset, right? Where you're going to use the steam, or the latest thing is to use that hot iron. I never liked doing any of that stuff. It always seemed to not help the guitar much. And what's the problem with the neck reset? Well, the body keeps caving in. So after so many years, you've got to do another one. This way, you take the body and you're going to correct the actual problem, which is the body caving in. I've done it on 2 other ones. It's fairly recent though, so I don't have, 10 years of a record as far as how this brace holds up. But I am using the hide glue, right? And we warm it up a little bit. We take this glue, and I think they call it a Dutch oven, where you warm up the water and you put a smaller cup in it, and then you put the glue in, and then I apply it. It's terrific. It's really great. I've tried to use those wood glues. I don't really care for them that much. So this is what we're going to do. The way I've already started a little bit on the back, and it's very simple. The way we get this back opened up is I get my little X-Acto blade, nice and new. I've already done it here, but you can see, right, you just go along. Now I'm using the iron, right? I heat it up on the iron, bring it along here, and very carefully make it through. As you can tell now, right, this is a guitar from the 60s, so a lot of the stuff is already banged up. I haven't broken, right? I haven't broken any of the trim here, any of the binding, right? And I'm making my 3. I've already come across here, and I'm going to go. You do need to do this very carefully. You do need to use heat with this, okay? But me personally, I would rather take this back off than get steam onto that neck and have to fool with this whole mess here. So let's go ahead, and we're going to do a little bit of that, and then you can catch up with me a little bit later. So like I mentioned, I went ahead and got this back off. I don't know, it didn't take me that long. Let's take a look. You can see it's a Guild. What does it say? It's a Guild Mark II. That's cool, huh? So let's put that aside for now. This is the first classical nylon string guitar I've opened up. It's interesting how the bracing is much different, huh? It's much different. So there's one thing that I noticed on here, and I might need to adjust a little bit. It looks like this might be sunken in more towards the sound hole closer to me. See the difference in it? Can you see how it's going down like that? So I might eventually, we'll see when I get into it, I might eventually take this one and this one, or maybe just this one at first, shave off that 1.5 millimeters, brace it in, and see if how this does. That's a great thing about doing the neck this way is I'm going to take these out again with a little X-Acto knife, right? Peel them up, shave them, put them in, but I can actually brace them and see what it does to my top. So I'm going to take a little time now to get this out. I've got with this type of X-Acto that I use, warm it up a little bit, and then just slowly just pull it out here and slowly pull it up here. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, and once I get that done, I'll get back with you. So here, there's something that I picked up right away. It looks like this brace here has popped down a little bit. Maybe somebody tried to re-glue it. I don't remember doing it as a kid, but maybe I did. See the different color in the glue? And I hadn't really worked on this at all, but this actually has space in between here. So this might have been the original issue why this top started to cave in. Again though, it's the top of the guitar. It's not the neck. The neck hasn't gone anywhere. It's this top of the guitar that started to cave in. So I'm going to keep working on that and see exactly what's going on. Looks to me like it's been re-glued, or maybe it just popped out on its own. So you really got to heat this up a little bit. Time consuming? I don't know. I think it's a lot easier than trying to do a neck reset. Maybe a little more time consuming, but I think it's a little bit easier to deal with than trying to get the steam hooked up and get the heating, and then, God forbid, then I got to drill a hole in the fretboard, and then I got to replace it. I would rather just work this out a little bit, and I find that putting the back on and repairing a little bit, cleaning up, much easier than try to remove the neck, and especially off the tops. That's probably where I've struggled the most, is to do the neck reset and then to deal with this here, this part here. I just find it just makes a mess. So I'm gonna keep doing this, and I'll get this brace out, and then I'll get back with you. Yeah, it does look like there's a little extra glue applied here. I'm just gonna film it just a little bit, just so you can see that it's workable, and it takes a little while to get everything set, but once you get it right underneath there, see? And then you just work it little by little. Right? You work it little by little. You're going to chew up a little bit of the brace, you're going to chew up a little bit of but no real damage, I don't think. Well, this is going to go on for a while. And I think what happened was that there was a little crack that had formed here. Must have been years ago. And I don't know, it's funny because I do remember I lent the guitar out a couple times to friends, and maybe something happened and they had it repaired and didn't mention anything to me about it. That could make sense, I think. But we'll get it. I'm going to keep on working on it. I just wanted you to get a chance to see what it looks like and that it's doable. So, got the brace out. Doesn't take too long. Please note though, let me show you a little bit of what we got here. Looks like it almost actually curved downwards, really the opposite direction that I want to go. Where the centerpiece seems like it's down a little bit. But here I've marked my, I went up to 2 centimeters, and I'll probably won't go that far. Because I've marked it, that's how much I want to shave, and I want to have this curvature. So when I put it in place, it's going to take the top of the guitar, and it's going to pop it up, right? It's going to pop it up, and that should help to straighten out the neck. That actually does straighten out the neck. I've done this before. So I'm going to work on this a little bit and shave this down, have a nice little curvature here, okay? And then we'll pop it in and see what it does to the top. We can actually put little clamps on here, not before gluing it, and see what it does. I'm going to take this off. I've just got a little heavy sandpaper here, and I'm just going to work it little by little on each end, right? Until I get it down close to my marks. And then I'll probably just take this sandpaper and smooth it out a little bit in the middle, just to give it that little bit of a bow, right? Alright, I'm going to keep doing this for a while, and then when I get to close to completing it, we'll come back on. So I've gotten to the point now where I have this shaved where I want it. You can sort of see I've got that curvature in it, right? And I'm going to take it and I'm going to be gluing it right over to this section here. Let me show you, this is how I like to do my glue. Got it in a bowl with hot water surrounding it, warms it up, and I think it really tends to do a Nice job on it. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna get a little glue on here. This section first. I find it does make quite a difference just by warming it up, by heating it up. You know, I'm not boiling it or anything like that, but I think it does make a difference in longevity. Put it on there, and then I'll just put some in here. What's interesting, I was looking at the structure here as I was sanding it. If you notice, you can't even see actually the glue. They're just so precise in their construction. The tag said it was in Hoboken, New Jersey. I know they also had a plant, or they had a manufacturing setup in Rhode Island. So I'm not sure exactly which where this guitar was built. I always thought it was Rhode Island, but it does actually have a tag on it. It says it's from New Jersey. Okay, so I'm gonna get this in to originally was set in place. Right, I'm gonna get these clamps on and see if I can get these things set up properly. Best to put them in nice and gently at first. Get them lined up. Alright, just ever so slightly. And remember, I was able to check it beforehand. Oh, alright, well that wasn't good. Let's see if we can get this in a little bit better. It's a bit of a struggle, you know, when you're doing it like this from home. But that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. It's got a little curvature on it of its own I'm going to have to deal with. I suppose there's a part of me that wants to show this because it's not easy to do, and it is kind of struggling back and forth. And so I don't mind really. I don't mind going into some of the details and showing the adjustments that have to be made. Alright. Oh yeah, I like that. Gonna off that a little bit. A little bit over more where it used to be. I'm going to tighten it up a little bit. Get it a little bit, I think. If I can line this up. Now I think I want to bring this over a little bit. There we go. Let's see how that works. Sometimes you just got to sort of get the right angle. And it takes a while to get it the way you really want it. right? And I think that's how I really want it. Yep, I think that's how I really want it. All right, let's see what that looks like. Turn it over. Oh yeah, got that top. I'm thinking you should be able to see it where that top has been, that part's been bowed out. Let's take a look and see if that's done anything for my, well, really hasn't done that much for that, but I'm still glad though I did it, because this is like popped out a little bit. I'm going to let this glue overnight, and then I'm going to come in and I'm going to attack that other bracket. So I'm going to let this one set up overnight, and then this one I'm going to take and I'm going to figure the same way. Okay, looks pretty good. You know, I've got a little bit of a crack here, and I think I'm going to just fill it in just a little bit. This glue is really great for stuff like that. I think really that's the only place where I see though that there was a little bit of a crack. Everything else looks pretty good. Alright guys, we'll let this set up overnight, and then we'll get to this other brace tomorrow. I just didn't know, I put a couple of little cleats in there just because there was that small crack. But yeah, other than that, I think we're going to be all set. Layered in a little bit. And I'm just cleaning out these little divots in here. Notice there's quite a bit of dust collection there over the years. So, alright, we'll be on the next one. Alright, so I've got this first brace glued back in. Right, shaved off about 1.5 to 2 millimeters on each end, and so we've straightened out this top, and now I'm going to go for this brace and basically do the same thing. I will point out this classical guitar, it's so much lighter than the steel strings that I've done. I think this is a much better way to go than trying to reset that neck. And of course, I'm just going to go the same way that I did before. Get up my X-Acto knife, going to heat them up with the, is this hot? Yeah, it's getting hot. And just heat them up. And then slowly get underneath them here, right, until I can get through the glue and then pop this up. Okay, so I'm going to work on that a little bit, and we'll record a little as we go along. So as you can see, I'm slowly but surely getting this blade underneath that here. Got into this section, right, and I'm just going to work my way down. I do find that the type of blade that probably seems the best is this nice little flat blade. It's got a nice edge on it. Just be careful. I broke one. It was actually a little thinner, but I did break one of these off. You got to be careful. They're super sharp. So, you know, just take your time on that. There's no really rush. I'm not getting paid to do this, so, you know, just want to be careful and not get cut up. All right, I'm going to keep going with it. So I was able to get this brace out. Of course, I'll probably take a little time, clean this up here, maybe sand it a little bit. And of course, my plan is to take this brace, right, and curve it. So when I glue it back in, it's going to push this out. Now, I do have a bit of a issue I wasn't anticipating. I've got like a small brace here, which on the steel strings I didn't have. I'm going to leave that in place. I don't really want to chew this up too much. We'll see how I can test it before I glue it to see if it has the desired effect. You know, maybe I'll end up taking that brace. I'd rather not though. So I'm going to work on it a little bit more. I don't know, it took me like about a half an hour to get this brace out, give or take. Okay, I'm going to keep on it, all right? So I've taken off about 1.5 millimeters off each end, and I've got this. It's not glued yet. I just got it in place. And so let's take a look and let's see how our action on the guitar is working out here. So I get this balanced. So yeah, we're looking pretty good. I'm almost right at the edge there. But you know what? My experience last time kind of informed me, and the thought is with the putting strings on this, it is going to pull it up. And so what I've decided to do, I'm going to have this neck go right to the top of these, to this nut here, right there. So I'm going to do a little bit more shaving off. It's not glued though. Let me show you. It's not glued. It'll pop right out, right? It'll pop right out. And that way I can judge to see. I do want to note there actually was, when I took it out, I didn't see it at first, but when I was starting to sand off my ends, I noticed this part was actually bowed down a little bit, right? It was kind of scooped in, so I've been able to flatten that out, and now I'm just starting to shave off a little bit more. I'm going to go right, I marked at 2 millimeters. I'm going to go right to that. I want a little bit more room on this, because when we get that tension on that neck and those strings, I imagine it's going to pull up a little bit. That's been my experience with the steel strings. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little more shaving, and then we'll check it again. Okay, so I think I've probably got as close as I can to get this thing up by the bridge. Should be able to tell. Right, I'm right at that edge. It doesn't want me to kick up any more, and I'm thinking it's probably because of this second brace. Because of this second brace here. So I don't really want to fight too much. I don't want to end up breaking anything. But that's pretty straight. That's going to get my neck right where. Yep, right to the top there. You know, and I could always shave this down a little bit if I want to really lower that action. I am going to let it sit for just a little while to kind of settle in. I want to make sure that nothing cracks and nothing breaks, because I'm stressing it, you know, pretty good. But I think overall, if you take a quick look at this top here, if you can see just how much straighter it is as opposed to being bowed in. It's nice and straight now. And this here, this edge is lining up right with this edge here. And I think that'll be pretty good. And that neck is looking, man, it's looking nice and straight. That's an interesting thing about taking these braces and reworking them. It literally kicks that whole neck up. And I would suggest that with this guitar, with this classical guitar, with the wood being so light, a neck reset would have been pretty iffy on this thing without causing a lot of damage. So I'm glad that I've decided to go this way. All right, I'm going to give it a little time to settle in. I'm not going to glue it just yet. Actually, I'm going to grab a bite to eat, and when I get back, all right. So got it readjusted again. Let's take a look and see what our bridge looks like. Oh yeah, I think we're pretty good. We're right about there. Yeah. Yep, we're right about there. I think the inside bracket's fighting me a little bit, but I think I'm okay with that. I think we have a little bit of a back and forth with this brace, but I'm not going to take that out. This top is so thin and lively, which is great. You know, this cedar wood, but man, I think I would just chew it up. So I've got my glue set up. I'll show you like I did before. The hiding, right? I've got it in the little bowl there. My favorite glue, like I mentioned before. All right, well, I'm going to take this apart now and see if we can get into a little bit how we do this, and hopefully you get it back together. So, I'm going to put some glue on this one first. Yeah, I've used the hide glue before with just cold, and you know, it works. But when you just warm it up just a little bit, you know, I put put a bowl full of water, warmed it up, and then, you know, I put a smaller bowl in the middle. When you warm this stuff up, man, it really sets up nicely. It doesn't take long at all. And by the next day, it's just really set in place. I don't think if I need to change anything or if I get anything wrong, I know the way this hide glue sticks, there's no way I'm going to get these braces apart for any adjustments. So just going to have to kind of hope, you know, I got everything right, because I don't want to, you know, I'll just play the guitar the way it is, because it's definitely a family favorite. You know, it's been in the family since just about '68. We were the original owners, and so I don't mind fixing it a little bit here, but I'm not going to fix it to the point where, you know, it wrecks it, right? So, okay, we've got our mark here. Let me get this in. I'm going to try to get the first brace in the middle. This isn't going to hold too long, but hopefully it'll be enough to be able to just to set me in place. I'm not doing it really that tight, you know what I mean? I just got to be able to line up these pieces, this piece here. And that's not really lined up as the way I want it. Gotta move it back just a little bit. Oh, there we go. I'm kind of showing this on purpose because I've seen a lot of, you know, I see a lot of videos and it's like presto, you know, they get it all done and they don't really show any difficulties. But this stuff is always difficult, you know. There's no two ways about it. But it can be done, you know, no big deal. You just have to have a little perseverance. I'm going to put this bracket in. Usually if I can get it first time around, it fits the best. Yeah, that one's going in nicely. Let's see if I can get this one in. And we'll be able to call it a night unless this thing's set up. This end I'm going to have to push down a little bit. Oh, did I get over too far? Let's see. No, it just doesn't want to sit up for me. That's that curvature. Oh, there we go. It wasn't extended all the way. There we go. Oh yeah, that's going to do it. I'm going to take a quick look. I'm going to get my headlight here, put this thing on, and we'll take a quick look at it, see what's going on. Let's see if we've got it set up. Yeah, I think we've got it glued in place. Let me jump up, take a quick look. Let's see, make sure I got everything straight. Because this is only going to happen one time. Oh, I need a little bit more there. This side's tied up. This one's not really. Got to get this glued up a little bit more. I think I'm going to get another clamp. Hang on. Grab another clamp. That one feels like it might be worn down a little bit. See if this one works any better. Some clamps are older than others, and some don't hold quite as well. Oh yeah, that's much better. That's much better. There we go. I'm gonna have to take a look at my clamps. And I think we're all set on that one. Let's take a look and see. Yeah, Now if I can move it. Let's see what it looks like before it sets up. Yep, I'm right at the edge, which is good. Right, that's where I want to be. Right at the edge. I can't really measure the other side, so that should do it for me. I think we'll be okay. Yeah, you know what? I don't really need this clamp in the middle. Let's check and see. Oh yeah, well that's right up there. I think I'm gonna take that clamp out in the middle. Now that I've got it set up. Yeah. I want to give it a chance to bow out as much as possible. Oh yeah, I think I'm set. Well, like I'd mentioned, with this glue and this body, I don't think there's any, there's no turning back on this one. This is going to have to work, or it's just going to have to be the way it is. Well, we'll let it set up overnight. I think I'm going to put a little, tuck in a little glue in here. Make sure I got a nice thick bead. Everything looks up. Let me get a little bit on that edge, just to make sure I've got all my bases covered. All right. And let's check one more time. Man, I'm taking a chance, but that's okay. We got to check to see. So we've got our, got it set up. Right, can you see it? Let me bring it down a little bit farther. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I have it far enough back. Let me bring it back over here. Here we go. You should be able to see it. So I'm lined up right there. All right, so we're going to let this sit overnight and see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow we're just going to put on the back. I did a little gluing here. I had noticed that the edges were kind of were a little loose, maybe from taking it off. So put some glue. I had a minor little crack there. Put it in there. You know, if you noticed, took off a little bit too much on the end, but that's all right. I'm just going to glue that right back in. That'll go back right into the piece. And of course the back's all set. So, you know, I think we're looking pretty good to go. Yeah, beautiful inside though, isn't it? It's the first time I've opened up a nylon string, a classical guitar. Truly are beautiful. Okay, let's see how it goes, and when this thing's back together, we'll talk some more. All right, so got my brace glued in here. This is the last one. Remember, we did this one. Now this one here. Let's take a look and see how our action's going to be before I close this thing up. Again, you should be able to see. Let's see what we've got here. If I can scoot by here. We looking pretty good? Yep, I'm coming just a little bit above that bridge, which I like. Just coming a little bit above, really resting. So I think we did what we wanted to do. Okay? So, we're going to go ahead and start to glue this up. I've got that hide glue, that stuff that I really like a lot. I'll get it set up, and then we'll go through the gluing process, just so you can see. Okay, so we're going to start to glue this top on. Just so you know, I've got my hide glue. This is a setup that I really like. You know, put some hot water and then put the glue in a cup right there, and it dries much quicker and much stronger. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this, get some glue on this top here. Get it pretty liberal. I don't know, do you want to see me put it on? I guess so. I guess we can. It's not fast drying, but it sets up really quickly. Alright, well look, this is going to take me a while, so I don't know if I want to bore you with, you see me splash glue on this stuff here. I'm going to bump it ahead a little bit. Alright, I've got my glue set up on the top here, and I'm going to set my top in ever so carefully. It does set up pretty quick. Any glue overage, of course, I can take off, you know, when I'm... This is so much, this is a lot easier. Got just a little bit here I'm going to have to touch up. And I'm going to put a little paper on this. I thought I brought some paper here. Yeah, here we go. Let's get a little paper on there, so I can put this on. Shouldn't stick to it. I'm going to use a couple different sets of clamps. My only real issue here is I think I'm going to have to pinch this in just a little bit before I start clamping down really heavy. I'm going to do that first, I think. And we're going to go through the whole clamping so you can see that what I'm doing is for real, for real. Yeah, this is pushed out a little bit. Get that back in here a little bit. And yeah, it's a struggle. It's not easy, right? It's not easy what we're doing. But not impossible, right? It's not impossible. Once you get a couple set in, it tends to go a lot quicker. But I do got to pinch these in before it sets up too much, which I just did, I think. Alright, I think I'm all set there. I'm good in the back. Here, I'll get a nice big one in the back here. Sorry for the... Gonna get this back set in place. There we go. Can't really press too hard on here. I don't have to with this class oak guitar. This wood is so feather light. This top is really just sitting right on top of it, and I just need to make sure it glues itself back into place. Which it is. A couple of the clamps are getting kind of old. I'm going to have to replace some of them. That's cool. This will do it for now. You just have to be snug. Don't have to be super tight. Not for this one anyway. Some of my other guitars I did have to clamp down quite a bit, but this one with the rosewood back, it really just fits into place. One little thing I've done is I find it's handy. I took some leather pieces and just super glued those leather pieces on, so it's kind of easier to handle. And I'm not really clamping down on these, you know. I'm really not. All right, so I've got the strings back on the guitar. Of course, got the back glued in. I created a new heel here. It had been missing for years. I'm going to have to work with the back a little bit, but I did not break any of the binding. Surprisingly, I didn't crack any of the binding, and overall, you know, I got time to work on that. Let's take a look at the action here, huh? It really worked out probably about as good as I can hope. Right? Take a look at that. Look how nice and me kick that right up so you can see that string's right there. So we're looking at right at about like 2 millimeters. See if I can get this out here for you. Yeah, about 2 millimeters there, maybe just a little bit more. And then we're looking at right at about 1.5 millimeters. I mean, I can't get any lower than that. It worked out really well. And just to recap a little bit, of course, the reason why I did this is a very light guitar, very fragile guitar. It's from, I think it's like 65, I think, or 68. I don't remember, to be honest with you. And I had done some neck resets before, and I was not happy with them. They ended up tearing up part of the front, and I just couldn't possibly do it with this one. So my idea was to go through the back of this guitar and take the braces that have been sunken in, right? Because basically what's going on with the string action is this neck starts to kick up because the body of the guitar is caving in. The neck isn't caving in. The neck isn't doing it. It's the body of this guitar that's caving in. So I went in on this one. I actually had to take 2 braces. I took this brace and took this brace here, and I won't go into it because you've already seen it. Reset them, glued them in, popped them in. And look at that. Got a nice, almost flat top. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of tough to get it into the camera there. And the action just, right? No buzzing. It's because the neck is really straight. So that's where it worked out so well. I did have on the steel strings that had some issues with this part of the neck that was kicked up just a little bit because it didn't have any, the guitars I'm working with don't have any truss rods in them. I did have to rework these frets here, but not on this nylon string. This neck was straight, and what I did is I just popped this up. It will give you a try so you can see what I'm talking about as far as the playability and stuff. Just put some strings on it so you know what that's like. See these frets working out, no buzzing. So, good success on that. I'm happy about that. So, look, I appreciate you guys watching. This is an alternative. Don't steam the neck, or this is a different way. You don't steam the neck, you save your neck, you save the top of your guitar, go through the back of the guitar, reset the braces, right? Get the top to where it originally was manufactured, not sunken in, but nice and straight, and it can work out pretty good. So I think I'll probably maybe post the other ones. I actually did the steel strings earlier. I practiced on those so I could get this done. Oh, the only thing I'd mention, the calculations that we did earlier, as far as the height that we're supposed to shave off here on these braces, I would have added 1 millimeter because I don't think the calculation gave any allowance for wood and how wood is going to bend, how it's going to flex a little bit. So I probably would have gone an extra meter, and if I had to, I could have taken this nut and replaced it and put a taller one just so I wouldn't pick up any of the frets there. So just on that note. Okay, so thanks guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see what I can come up with next.